It was out of character for her just to vanish.
We started like printing posters and stuff. Then I got the messages. We were like, no, Nemi's passed away.
I'm sorry that I wasn't there to fight for you. Your fight is now our fight.
It's not her fault, but it's his.
I know what you're all going through.
Online shopping is one of the benefits we are enjoying from the birth of the internet. With just a scroll on your smartphone and a click on the buy option, you can be able to purchase your favorite items straight from overseas to your doorstep. But when Uyinene, a university student, took a taxi to the post office to pick a parcel containing clothes she had ordered online, she did not in her wildest dreams imagine it would be her last day and that she would never get to even try them on. Welcome and welcome back to Tavern Crime Chronicles. We explore strange, mysterious, chilling, and unsolved cases in Africa and beyond. If you have the nerve for fascinating stories, this is your channel. We approach our cases with empathy and extensive research. And if you appreciate our true crime storytelling, kindly support us by subscribing. Thank you. Today's story takes us to the vibrant lands of Cape Town, South Africa. Sitting on 950 square miles, Cape Town is the second largest city in South Africa, after Johannesburg, and the country's oldest city, housing the Parliament of South Africa. Known for its harbor, its natural landmarks like the Table Mountain and Cape Point, it was once named the best place to visit by the New York Times, thus attracts tourists all year long to the beauty, full scenery and vibrant savanna. The University of Cape Town is one of the leading on the African continent and has a tradition for academic excellence, thus admits the crème de la crème. And with students coming from far and wide, a post office is favorably located within their access. But when one of its students goes missing and is later discovered to have been murdered by the post office employee, the whole nation is gripped with both fear and anger, storming the streets in protests that last for days. This is the tragic story of Uyinene Mrwetyana. Born on April 20, 2000 in East London, Eastern Cape, to her parents Noma and Philip Mrwetyana, Uyinene grew up alongside her brother Esona with their loving parents and was affectionately given the name Nene. Their family home can be found in the suburb of Beacon Bay in East London, where she attended Hudson Park Primary School in their local area. She was a bright, vibrant young girl who exhibited her intellect at a very tender age as voiced by her father. While in primary school, she chaired the school's student council, where she was awarded the Hudsonian of the Year award. Thereafter, she attended Kingswood College, a highly regarded high school where she would graduate in 2018 with flying colors. A beacon of excellence she was for both her family and friends. She would thereafter fly to the far coast from the comfort of her home to the prestigious University of Cape Town, where she began studying film and media, following her brother, who was by then a third-year student. While at university, Nene was said to be a social butterfly, a friendly face who made friends easily because of her outgoing character. She was confident, outspoken, and always encouraged her friends to speak out. And while she was friends with everyone, she was aware of who she let into her intimate space. She enjoyed visiting sites and taking photos while at it. And like most of the ladies, Nene loved fashion. Shopping in the malls with her friend Mombasa was her favorite pastime, and scrolling through online platforms like Instagram for fashion trends was her hobby. It was this love for fashion that prompted her to make an online purchase, and her parcel containing clothes would be delivered to her nearest post office. August 24, 2019. Uyinene left her residence at the Roscommon House to run a few errands, which included picking a parcel from the post office that she had recently ordered online. She has earlier been to the local post office on the 8th of August to inquire and was told she would be called when the package arrived. Having received the call, Uyinene decided to take a walk to the post office, which was a few blocks away. Upon entry, she was greeted by the same teller she had spoken to, Luyando Botha, who proceeded to inform her that unfortunately the credit card machine wasn't working because the electricity was off, and thus, he couldn't be able to process her payment. She was advised to return at 2 p.m. Uyinene saw nothing wrong as power cuts were very common in Cape Town. She therefore obediently left to return later. Unbeknownst to her, the parcel had been ready for an entire 8 days, and being a Saturday, the post office closed at 1 p.m. Botha had an ulterior motive for withholding information from Uyinene, and unfortunately for her, not much is known about Luyando Botha, but that he had a criminal record. In 1999, he had been arrested after a series of robbery hijacking cases and was put behind bars. He was also accused of indecent assault on a woman, but charges would unfortunately be dropped. It's unclear why these charges were dropped, but such cases can be damaging and traumatizing to the victims, thus they chose to withdraw in order to avoid negative attention. It is, however, questionable why an individual with a criminal record of assault and robberies can be allowed to run a public office handling large amounts of money, let alone customers. And besides his track record, his love life left a lot to be desired, as he was currently going through a divorce with his second wife. As it clocked 1 p.m., many offices started closing for the weekend. Customers slowly trickled down, and offices shut their doors. At 2 p.m., Uyinene took a Taxify taxi and arrived at the post office shortly after. Botha had arranged with a colleague, Soraya Abdullah, for her to leave work earlier so that he could execute his plan. When Uyinene arrived, Botha shut the door behind her before she could even process the silence and empty, eerie feeling inside. Unbeknownst to her and her contacts, she would constantly text online. This would be the last time they would ever hear from her. The taxi driver would later drive away oblivious of the fact that he was the last to see her smile. Botha immediately grabbed her as she was checking her parcel, and when Uyinene sensed she was under attack, she put on a fight. And bravely she did, but was no match for her attacker, who overpowered and raped her. She finally kicked him and broke free, and immediately ran to the door, but he grabbed her, throwing her back. He locked her in the back room, and when she wouldn't stop screaming, he strangled her, hit her with a set of post office scales of about 2 kilogram weight, targeting her head and eventually knocking her unconscious. He locked her in the office and went to a nearby pub to drink alcohol. He returned the following day to retrieve her body, put it in the trunk in his car, and drove to a nearby field where he doused her body with petrol and set it on fire. Meanwhile, her friends were searching for her, with each asking another when last they had seen her. At some point, they thought that she was maybe doing a social media cleanse by going offline for a while, because it was not like her to remain incommunicado. When no one was able to reach her, missing person posters were printed out and also shared online across the country and with friends abroad. Their cries received a lot of media coverage, and the hashtag Bring Nini Home was trending all over social media and media houses. Her parents could not sit and wait. Thus Noma, her mother, flew into Cape Town to find their daughter. She went straight to the post office in Claremont, where Nene was last seen, as said by taxi driver who had dropped her there. On inquiring about the teller who had attended to her daughter when she came to receive her package, Luyando Botha's name came up, and they noticed he had been away in the subsequent days after Nene's disappearance. He was later identified as a suspect by the police and put on a wanted list for questioning. A body had earlier been discovered on March 25, 2024, a day after the murder, but could not be identified because it was burned beyond recognition. For 9 days, Uyinene's loved ones desperately searched for her, not knowing she had already breathed her last. The Claremont post office was now a crime scene after bloodstains were discovered. On testing the DNA, it matched perfectly with the burned body they had found earlier. Uyinene was murdered. News spread like wildfire, and the whole nation was gripped with fear, pain and anger, storming the streets with even intense protests. People were demanding answers, for no one felt safe. Many carried placards chanting, "I am I next," or "I'm Nen," as they demanded justice and for the culprit to be apprehended. The suspect, Luyando Botha, was arrested and confessed to the WNYburg Magistrate Court of committing the murder of Uyinene, and while heartlessly describing the whole ordeal, he mentioned that she put on a fight and was a hard one. He had raped her, strangled her before ultimately bludgeoning her to death with the office scales. And right here we can see the heartlessness of the rape and murder of a young woman who had in no way offended him. On November 15, 2019, Botha stood in the courtroom with no remorse as he waited for his sentence. He received 3 life sentences for the rape and murder of Uyinene Mrwetyana, but unfortunately will be eligible for parole after serving 25 years of his sentence. Crowds were chanting "Hang him high," and death penalty for no punishment could be enough for the pain caused. Following Botha's arrest, both protests and memorial services were held in different universities. At international organizations like World Economic Forum on Africa, which attracted the presence of the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, several thousands of people protested the need for security, and the hashtag #AmINext gained prominence during this time. People were very angry, and there was a public outcry for not just Uyinene's death, but the rape of even other women before her that led to the 2-day shutdown at University of Cape Town. Unfortunately, it took the death of a young woman to ignite a movement that saw the president announce reforms for harsher punishments for sex offenders and public disclosure of the National Register for Sex Offenders to stem sexual and physical violence against women and children. On November 29, 2019, the Uyinene Mrwetyana Foundation was founded in Makanda, Eastern Cape, in celebration of her life. The scholarship was founded to support female students doing humanities, for she loved to study. Due to public outcry and pleas from Uyinene's parents, the Claremont post office was closed because the memory was too deep, and they requested it to be transformed into a place of healing. Uyinene was a young, vibrant girl with a whole future ahead of her. That one cold-hearted man whose word she took as true ended without a thought. We condole with her family, whose loss left a big hole. And as they all wish to have been there to protect her, we can't be with our loved ones all the time. But we owe it to each other to spread love and not hurt our neighbor. For then, maybe then we shall all avoid crime and live in harmony, not fear. And this comes to the end of this Uyinene story. Tell me, what do you think about this chilling case, by the way? I, for one, think an ex-convict like Botha shouldn't have been operating in any civil office, let alone attending to customers. Such people should be locked up in prison far away from other human beings. Well, if you like the way we presented this case, or are even interested in real crime documentaries, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and even share the thrills with your friends who may like the same. See you next time.